Welcome to ILTV's Israel Daily. I'm Nijar Gvir, and coming up in today's newscast. National Security Minister Itamar Gvir orders Israel police to carry out demolitions of illegal construction in East Jerusalem during the month of Ramadan. Dozens of reservists in the Israeli Air Force announced they would protest a planned training day over the government's judicial reforms. And Jews around the world celebrate Purim. ILTV brings you the traditions and fun customs that this joyous holiday signifies. National Security Minister Itamar Gvir on Sunday ordered Israel police to carry out the demolitions of illegal houses built in East Jerusalem during the month of Ramadan. The details in the following report. In a controversial move that could potentially provide a catalyst for increased violence, National Security Minister Itamar Gvir has ordered Israel police to carry out the demolitions of illegal houses built in East Jerusalem during the month of Ramadan. Kan News reported on the decision, with Gvir confirming to Kan's Reshet Bet Radio on Monday morning that, quote, "It is no secret that within our security forces there is a concept that during Ramadan one should not breathe and the law should not be enforced." End quote. He said that the concept of quiet is garbage and called to stop this attitude. Gvir's decision will overturn the status quo established in recent years to end demolitions of illegal construction in East Jerusalem during Ramadan. This in an attempt to decrease tensions during the volatile month. Senior defense officials, though, have expressed reservations and fear that Gvir's announced plans will provide an excuse for increased violence. Israeli security forces have been on alert ahead of Ramadan this year and have warned of a potential increase in terrorist activities that have already claimed the lives of 14 Israelis murdered in terror attacks since the beginning of 2023. Meanwhile, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin is on a three-country Middle East visit aimed at reassuring allies Jordan and Egypt of the U.S.'s commitment to the region, but is also expected to press Israeli security leaders on the need to reduce tensions in Judea and Samaria ahead of Ramadan. In related security news, dozens of Israeli Air Force reservists announced their intention to skip out on one training day later this week in protest against the government's planned judicial reforms. ILTV's William Sharon with the report.
Israeli Air Force reservists in a fighter jet squadron on Sunday announced they would boycott a planned training day and protest against the government's planned judicial reforms. 37 out of 40 pilots from the F-15 squad said they would not show up and instead devote their time to dialogue and reflection for the sake of democracy and national unity. However, the squadron said they would suspend their one-day protest if the need arose to carry out actual military operations. The latest reserve protest signals a worrisome development in the IDF, as the organization is meant to maintain an apolitical stance, promoting Israel's opposition leaders to condemn the move. Opposition leader Yair Lapid and former defense minister and National Unity Party leader Benny Gantz both made statements opposing the military reservist threats to refuse service over government legislations. Lapid told Channel 12 News that while he sympathized with the protests, it would harm Israel's ability to defend itself, while Gantz called on its reservists to continue to serve and show up no matter what. Both leaders reiterated that the IDF must remain above politics. Meanwhile, Hebrew language media reported that the IDF Chief of Staff, Herzi Halevi, has expressed concern to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu over the reservist protests, saying that if this were to spread, it could harm the IDF's operational capabilities.
And joining us now from the Kiryat, or the IDF central base in Tel Aviv, with more on the security situation, is CEO and founder of the Israel Defense and Security Forum, Brigadier General in the Reserves, Amir Avivi. Thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure. Hi.
So let's start with the reservists' protest. It's a very dangerous precedent being set. Isn't the foundation of the IDF that it's supposed to remain an apolitical organization?
Yes, definitely. You know, it's the army of the people. And in order for it to be the army of the people, when we arrive to our bases, we leave politics behind. We don't mix our personal views with military service. You know, we serve together, we fight together. We really endanger our life for each other and for the country. And you must not in any way bring politics to the military service. I think that what's happening is disgraceful. It's something that, never happened this way before. We've seen very difficult decisions by different governments, whether it's Oslo, the disengagement. People, their most basic values were challenged, and yet they never, ever hurt the army or tried to bring politics this way to the army.
And, just today we saw Israeli Air Force generals all sign a letter together saying that they are trembling, I'm quoting them, trembling over all of this, clearly raising the alarm. So, how concerned should we and the defense establishment be that this might now spread through the ranks?
Well, it's my feeling that now there is a big reaction against this behavior. I can tell you that I have talks with prominent generals from all the political spectrum who are shocked and really completely disagree with this way of behavior. I think that we are going to hear more and more of these voices. We heard yesterday ex-chief of staff Gadi Eisenkot saying that we must leave politics out of the IDF. And I'm really, really hopeful, and I believe that these voices are going to get stronger and stronger. This is a red line that must not be crossed.
And how do you think the army should respond to such calls? I mean, should they be sending a clear message, perhaps issuing a harsh response to anyone who decides to protest their service?
Well, I've been in touch with the leadership of the army throughout this crisis, and my expectation and my organization is to hear a clear message from the chief of staff that says clearly that the army must be above politics and above these discussions. I think that the messaging is not strong enough on the public sphere. I know the army is doing many things inside the army, talking to the reservists, talking to the units, a lot of work inside the army, but it's not strong enough when it comes to the media and the way the army should address it to the general public.
Mm-hmm. And so now I want to turn also to National Security Minister Itamar Gvir. Him saying today that, he's taken a decision to demolish illegal houses in East Jerusalem during the month of Ramadan. I mean, what's your take on this decision?
I think that, the way to take decisions is to sit with all the services, with the Shabak, with the army, with the police, assess deeply all decisions and take decisions. I think that Prime Minister Gvir needs to really go through the process of how to assess in a very professional way these issues. And I am feeling that this is not done in the right way, and therefore decision-making might not be the best. You cannot really take good decisions if you don't do these meetings in a professional way as needed.
Mm-hmm. And yet Gvir also said that, the idea of quiet is quote-unquote, garbage. And he says every time, every year we seemingly enter this cycle of increased tensions ahead and during the month of Ramadan. Maybe what is needed is such an approach to restore deterrence, perhaps. I mean, what do you think?
But the approach, and I'm not saying that we need to be afraid to really push forward our, security issues and sovereignty. I'm not saying that is not right with this policy. I'm saying that I think that needs to be less talk with the media and more assessments with all the different security organizations to get this decision making. And maybe this is what they'll decide, and it's fine, no problem. But we need to really, push this in this way.
All right, Brigadier General in the Reserves, Amir Avivi, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us about these important issues today.